everyone, my name is Patricia Wooster, and today I'm going to give you 4 quick tips on how to write a high-impact book. Now, I know that many people sit down to write a book or map it out, and they're kind of lost of where to go, what direction to go, because they know they want to create a transformational experience for their reader, but they're just not sure how to get there. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Number 1, you need to know who your audience is. And I know we've all been through that exercise where we talk about our avatar and we identify their demographics, what they do for a living, what their interests are. And we kind of create this profile, and sometimes we give them a name, and that's the first step to figuring out who your reader is. But the second step that can make a really big difference is figuring out who that 10x version of your reader is. Now, what do I mean by that? Your 10x version is the person who 3 to 5 years from now, who they really want to be. So let's use an example for this. So say you're writing a book on public speaking, and you've identified that your audience avatar is somebody who works in corporate America, is between 30 and 50 years old, and has some leadership experience. Now that's a great start, but what if you take their 10x version? What if your reader is also somebody who, after they start giving speeches, start visualizing themselves on big stages, motivating people, maybe even running their own business? Now think about how you can use that knowledge when writing your book. One of the number 1 reasons that people fail at doing something is that they fail to take action. We're all pretty good about buying books or programs or investing in new things, but when it comes to actually taking all of the actions, that's where we often fail. And that's where motivation and empowerment come in. So if you know your reader has these big goals, you can use that kind of language in your book. You can also present case studies and stories of people who have already taken that path and been successful. That keeps your reader going, and it may motivate them to want to continue that dialogue with you after they finish the book. Maybe they want you for coaching or online programs, or maybe you have other books or courses available that can realize this big vision they have for themselves. And number 2 for a high impact book is your messaging. Your messaging needs to be very clear. This is by identifying that number 1 result that you want to deliver to your reader by the end of the book. If you try to cover too many areas and offer them too many solutions, then it becomes more like a how-to book or a guide. And what you want to be is more of a thought leader in your industry. You want something unique to you. So this may be creating your own methodology, creating a unique system, or identifying, say, the 4 pillars to achieving that goal. This is a signature system for you, and it also drives really high results for your reader. So that's your messaging. Number 3, this is your core value alignment. Now, what do I mean by that? It's a little vague in its terminology, but this is when you create that 10x version of yourself. So what you're doing is identifying what are your values, what's your mission, what's your purpose. So let's go over an example for this. So say you're somebody that works for a company and you're known for creating these great teams. You're known as a real leader. So an obvious choice for you would be to write a book about how you do that. But what if your goal 3 to 5 years from now is to start a small business and to help other small businesses build out their teams from scratch? Maybe you want to be somebody that travels around and delivers workshops. So it would make more sense to write a book to that audience. 1, it gets you where you want to be. You're attracting the type of readers that you'll be working with in the future. 2nd, you can still use your expertise from corporate America. You're just going to reframe that information so that it helps you get where you want to be. You don't want to write a book about where you are now if this is where you don't want to be. It gets you kind of stuck And when you write a book, it's a huge investment of your time. You're going to be talking about it for 2 to 5 years from now. So make sure you're writing about something that you still want to be discussing later. And fourth, but not least important, is traditional publishing standards. Now you may be thinking, yeah, but I just want to self-publish my book. This doesn't really apply to me. It actually applies to you more. So I am a traditionally published author of 14 books. So I've been through the process several times. And what I can tell you is their back-end services are top-notch. Your book goes through 2 or 3 rounds of editing. It's got a separate proofreader. They've got a cover design person. They've got a marketing team. They've got all these different departments helping to make your book the best version of itself. And you want these same standards for your self-published book. You don't want somebody to look at a desktop and be able to identify that your book was self-published, but the book next to it wasn't. So how do you do this? 1, hire good editors. Now, good editors are all over the place. There's a lot that have worked for big publishing houses that now are freelancers full-time. You can go to Upwork, you can go to Reedsy. There's even associations for professional editors. Make sure you hire somebody that edits in your niche. That's really important. Next, you're going to want a proofreader. This is the person that goes through the book at the very end. And make sure there's none of those little annoying mistakes that often show up in self-published books. Second, interior formatting. Oh, this is so important. If you open up a book from a bookstore, they have headings, bullet points. You don't even have to have pictures or graphs, but they lay out the content so it's really easy to read. This is so important. If you've ever bought a self-published book with no interior formatting, you know what I'm talking about. So find somebody who's really good at doing that interior work. And those people are really easy to find and super affordable. Next, get a great cover design, because in this case, looks do matter. Now you can do some great initial research. Pull up your books category on Amazon and scan the top 30 books. You'll notice some cohesiveness. Maybe they all have graphics, wording, maybe they do or don't have pictures. Obviously, you want your cover design to look much different than, say, a romance book. So look and see what are those general characteristics. Also, think about colors and what moods different colors depict. You can do a lot of research online about fonts and colors and design to start getting some general ideas. Then there's some great websites. One of a really good one is called 99 Designs. And on there, you can submit your ideas and you can have artists compete to get your work. You can narrow it down to 3 people and they will help tinker with that design until it's exactly what you want. The fourth thing that's really important when it comes to upholding those traditional publishing standards is your book description. Now that's going to show up in 2 places. It's going to be on the back cover, and when you pull up Amazon, you notice there's always a description there of what the book's about. Now, this is where it's important to have a really strong hook. So it's more like sales copy, and you might have some testimonials and blurbs in there as well, but you may want to invest in a copywriter for this section because that's ultimately what makes a person want to buy your book. So I hope you've gotten a lot from these 4 quick tips, and just as a review, the 4 tips were audience, your reader and that 10x version, messaging, that number 1 result that you're delivering, your core value alignment, where you want to go next with your reader and in your professional life. And 4th, traditional publishing standards, and making sure that regardless of how you decide to publish, that you choose the same high standards either way. If you'd like to get more quick tips from me and watch more informational videos when it comes to writing and publishing your book, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. And also, if you'd like, go to our Facebook page, which is Write to Publish Group, where it's a community of people who are writers and publishers who discuss all things of how to write, publish, market, and leverage your book. On there, you can ask questions and get instant feedback when it comes to writing your work. I put all that information in comments so that it's easy to find. Until the next video, just remember that small intentional actions lead to big results. See you soon.